I'd like to call this meeting to order. Will the clerk please read the statement?
This is the meeting of the Township Council for Monday, January 14, 2019. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public and the press on January 3, 2019, and was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-7.
Roll call.
Councilmember Holmes? Here. Councilmember Kadesh?
Here.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Here.
Councilmember Allberger?
Here.
Council President Murphy?
Here. Please rise to salute the flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a proclamation on the agenda this evening. It's for Cervical Health Awareness Month. Whereas cervical cancer is a disease that strikes more than 13,000 American women each year. Whereas cervical cancer most often affects women in the prime of life, and whereas regular cervical cancer screening tests are effective in detecting the disease early when it can be effectively treated, and whereas cervical cancer vaccines are available that, together with screening tests, provide a formidable and effective means of preventing this disease. And whereas increasing awareness among patients and healthcare providers alike regarding the best use of these prevention tools is a key component is safeguarding women's health. Now therefore, the Mayor and Council of the Township of Vernon do hereby proclaim January 2019 as Cervical Health Awareness Month, and encourage all our citizens to recognize that cervical cancer is preventable, and to encourage and support the women in our lives in taking charge of their health and availing themselves of the tests and vaccines that have proven so effective in preventing cervical cancer. We have the means to prevent this disease. It is incumbent on all of us to ensure that we have and will do so. January 2019, Cervical Cancer Awareness Month in Vernon Township. Harry J. Shortway, Mayor. Jean Murphy, Council President. May I have a motion to open to public comment?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This public comment session is for items on the agenda only. If anyone from the public would like to step forward, you have 3 minutes to make any comments. Is there anyone from the public that would like to step forward? Please do so.
Sally Rinker, Vernon. Good evening. So I'm here to discuss Resolution 19-59. Is it still on the agenda tonight? Thank you, Sandy. So it states it's to award a consulting firm nearly $30,000 for an evaluation of fire department and emergency medical services. As has become customary in this administration, there's a lack of information and transparency in this resolution. So, if this resolution is about the continued efforts by this administration to replace our EMT volunteers with a paid service, we've already been down that road when the mayor took his roadshow to the squads to convince everyone of his good idea. But I remember well, the information delivered was incomplete, insufficient, and erroneous. It was another example of this administration trying to put a square peg in a round hole. It just doesn't work. Regardless of the purpose, if this $30,000 study is going to be voted up tonight, I'm asking this council to vote no and never bring it back unless and until this administration balances our budget without giving us a tax hike for the 4th year in a row. We hang in the balance with a new Mountain Creek agreement, which will remain a precarious situation. Your Economic Development Committee, which was non-existent for the first 2 years, in the 3rd year brought in not one business rateable, and yet according to this booklet, which I got in my Herald on Sunday, other towns are accomplishing that, bringing in ratables to help their taxpayers. What have you done? And what in Vernon can we be proud of? It is my opinion that this mayor and council is insensitive to the taxpayer, and this resolution on the agenda tonight proves it. Where did it come from? Why did Council President Murphy permit it to be on the agenda? Our code clearly says the agenda is approved by the Council President. Anyone who votes yes on this tonight is disrespectful and cavalier with our money. You are raising our taxes again, exceeding the cap again. Legal fees and professional fees are through the roof again, and we want no more wasted money on studies, period. Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public that have any comments? Please step forward. Seeing no one, may I have a motion to close to public?
Motion.
I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, we'll move on to the minutes. May I have a motion to adopt the minutes, the regular meeting minutes of December 10th, 2018, also the special joint meeting minutes of December 20th, 2018, and the executive session minutes of December 20th, 2018.
May I ask for separate votes?
Sure.
For which one? For each one? Or just the
Which-
reorg?
Separate, all of them.
Oh, all of them, okay.
Including the 20th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you can put those two together if you want.
What? So you're asking for each date to be separate?
Well, I have to abstain on two of them, so.
Okay, may I have a motion to adopt
Motion.
the meeting of December 10th?
Second,
Roll call?
Councilmember Holmes?
yes.
Councilmember Kadesh?
Abstain.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Allberger?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes. May I have a motion to adopt the minutes for the special joint meeting of December 20th and the executive session of December 20th?
Motion.
Second,
Roll call?
Councilmember Kadesh?
Yes.
Councilmember Holmes?
yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Allberger?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes. May I have a motion to adopt the reorganization minutes from January 2nd, 2019?
Motion. Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Holmes?
Abstain,
Councilmember Kadesh?
Abstain.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Allberger?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes.
Motion carries
Thank
to
you.
adopt minutes.
Next, we move on to the consent agenda. Resolution 1940, adoption of the 2019 temporary municipal budget. This sets the temporary budget for the first quarter of the year. It is limited to 26.25% of the budget in 2018. Resolution 1941, resolution of participating, a resolution approving participation with the State of New Jersey federal grant program administered by the Division of Criminal Justice, Department of Law and Public Safety. This authorizes the grant application for Safe and Secure. Township grant is $60,000. Township will match $179,118. Resolution 1942, refund overpayment. CoreLogic Tax Services. This resolution, as well as 1946, 47, and 49, refund tax overpayments. Resolution 1943, approval to evaluate the possibility of a shared service agreement with the County of Sussex for the purpose of document management processes. This authorizes the possibility of a shared service with the county for record scanning and online access. Resolution 1944, authorizing assignment of tax title liens to Tall Timbers Property Owners Association. This transfers tax liens to Tall Timbers. Resolution 1945, resolution authorizing fireworks to be displayed on February 4th, 2019 within the Township of Vernon. This amends the dates for the firework display. Resolution 1948, resolution in support of Path to Progress recommendations made by New Jersey Economic and Fiscal Policy Work Group. This shows support to the pathway to progress. Resolution 1950, resolution accepting the completion of project to construct water service lines to the Vernon Municipal Building and DPW Garage. This accepts the water service project. Resolution 1951, resolution awarding bid 14R 2018 to Air Group LLC in a fair and open award for HVAC services. This awards a bid for the HVAC for the municipal building. Resolution 1952, authorizing assignment. This authorizes assignment of the electronic tax sale. Resolution 1953, resolution authorizing the hiring of financial management software vendor through the competitive contracting process. This authorizes competitive contracting for a software vendor for the township. Resolution 1954, approving active volunteer firemen for transfer of membership in the New Jersey States Firemen Association, Ross. This transfers membership in the state association. Resolutions 1955 through 1958 authorize change orders for various projects within the township. Resolution 1955, authorizing change order 1 of contracts for traffic striping, Vernon Municipal Building parking lot, and recycling center improvements with Denville line painting. Resolution 1956, authorizing change order number 1 of contract for milling and paving Vernon Municipal Building parking lot and recycling center improvements with Tilcon of New York. Resolution 1957, authorizing change order 1 of contract for milling and paving Barry Drive North, Phase 2 with Tilcon, New York. Resolution 1958, authorizing change order 1 of contract for milling and paving for Way Rionda Road improvements with Tilcon of New York. Resolution 1959, authorizing a fair and open award of RFP 15-2018 to the Rogers Group for solicitation of consulting services, fire department, and emergency medical services evaluation. This authorizes an award for the fire and EMS departments. Resolution 1960, authorizing contract with Microsoft Systems, New Jersey LLC for the year 2019 in the amount not to exceed $3,200. This authorizes the contract with Microsystems. Resolution 1961, authorizing the Vernon Township Council to approve a person-to-person transfer of liquor license 1922-33-004-006. This authorizes the liquor license transfer for Heaven Hill Farm. Resolution 1962, resolution authorizing interlocal services agreement for the services of the Department of Public Works. This authorizes a shared service for the DPW. We'll be separating out resolutions 1940 and 1959. Are there any others?
In 1962.
Excuse me?
And 62. Did you say something?
62. I'm agreeing with you, Dan.
May I have a motion to adopt resolutions 1941 through 1958, 1960, and 1961?
Motion.
I'll make the second.
Second.
Oh, Sandy has a second. Roll call?
Councilmember Amos?
Yes.
Councilmember Kadesh?
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Olberger?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes. All right, Resolution 1940, it's the adoption of the temporary municipal budget. Questions I have on this, I mean, we have had some questions over the last few days, and I'm not sure if any other council members have any comment on this, but what I'd like to see before, because we have till January 30th to pass this, what I'd like to see is, I know that we've had some changes within the departments in personnel, and knowing that you take the budget and you add on for the next year, what I'd like to see is actually something a little more detailed, because my concern is that as employees have left departments and are possibly being reassigned or hired, I'd like to know that what we're approving is actually just being charged to the right department, so that we actually know where everything is going, because like I said, I know that there's some retirements and there's some new hires. So actually what I'd like to do is be able to discuss this further I don't know if anybody has any questions in the meantime, or if I could just make a motion to table it to the next meeting.
I'll second that motion, because I got the same questions. I don't know what forum you want to discuss it, but there's some things on here that I think we need to discuss.
If you want to discuss, if you have specific questions, I can address some of them here if you would like to.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure that we can, because if it's getting into personnel, then I don't think it's appropriate that we get into that at this time. Would you agree?
Call the question.
Yeah, I mean, to the council president, to the extent any specific employees are brought up, they obviously haven't been rights noticed, so it wouldn't be appropriate.
And it's not anything,
It's not specific.
it's not to a detriment of any employees. It's just that I prefer not to have an open discussion of it without, just having more details.
Okay, so just to be clear, the temporary budget then would not be approved tonight, so there would be no purchases permitted in 2019. So we could back charge for anything that's come in from 2018, but I cannot approve any purchases, any purchase orders, or encumbrance of funds for 2019.
And if we approve it at the next meeting?
I could do it then, but it would halt anything moving forward. So any purchases for 2019, I wouldn't be able to approve anything.
Until this passes.
Until it
Just be for
passes.
a few weeks.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It'd just be for a few weeks, but, so there could be concerns, there could be a snowstorm, and if you have to buy salt,
We should have salt.
well, but I wouldn't be able to encumber the funds prior to them purchasing it, which is not in accordance with public purchasing law. I can tell you that it's customary that for a temporary budget, you take 26.25% of the prior year's appropriations minus capital and debt service. I
Okay.
did forward copies of that,
Right.
but just to
Okay.
extend
I'll
on
just
that
let you know,
a little
my
bit.
concern is in doing that, we're actually approving money to go into the budgets, into the temporary budgets for certain departments, which then can allow administration to hire individuals. And before that happens, I'd just like to know, I personally, I don't know about anybody else, would like to know exactly what's happening. I just want to be able to have some accountability for it. So I understand what you're saying.
Council,
We'll let you know too, well, no. we'll
no,
let
I'm
you-
just saying, Council President, just, just in keep in mind, as she's saying, she's not going to be able to approve any purchases, so that may have an impact on, day-to-day operations. Moreover, as she said, it's only a certain percentage of last year's budget. Until you pass a final budget, that's really not in stone. And moreover, at the end of the year, to the extent you need to make any transfers, that's also another opportunity to move funds.
I guess there were concerns that I raised, which is why I'm raising this now. It's not something, it is something out of the ordinary, and these are concerns that I've raised that I don't feel have been satisfactorily answered, and I'm just concerned with some of the issues. Now, I understand that, but if, what assurances does the council have that,
And I think what the attorney is, I'm just going to kind of say pretty much what you just said. The temporary budget is not set, it does not, it's not indicative of what the future budget is going to be. It doesn't put that in stone, so whatever you guys decide for the 2019 budget, essentially what I do on my end, just so you know, when the temporary budget gets approved, I put it in, and it gets completely reversed out once the 2019 budget is approved. So any of those numbers would come out.
and if individuals are hired within that time frame because there's money in the budget, depending on, then what happens? I'm trying to avoid having an issue later on down the road. And like I said, I've asked questions a numerous amount of times, and I don't feel that I have enough of an answer.
Well, I think,
Unless I had some reassurances of how administration is going to proceed. I mean, I don't know. Councilmember Holmes, you said you had questions?
Well, the same thing, and then what it is, it's a position that now has been bumped up, and I don't want to compromise anything that I shouldn't be talking about in public, but we didn't create that position, so if that money's in the budget for that position, can you use that money for that position?
Specifically, the position that you're speaking about
Well, that
was
there could be others.
created.
When? No, it wasn't.
Well, it's not full-time. That's the whole issue, so it's,
So I don't know what's changed, so I have to okey-dokey something that I don't know why we've worked this way in this manner all these years, and now we're not, we need more, so I don't even know what changed. So I would like an explanation of what changed and why we need to do this. And I think we have to create that position. We vote to get rid of positions, so I would think we vote to create positions.
well,
That was.
Can I just interject something here? With all due respect to the council, I hope you understand this puts a grinding halt to us doing any business with vendors that we need to do business with, that we've been waiting for since the close of business from 2018 for another 2 weeks over one position.
well, maybe not necessarily one position.
Okay?
I mean, actually, what I'd like
How
to
many
see
more
is,
could there
well,
be?
there are positions in departments that may be filled, may not be filled, may be vacated, and, you know, I think that the council really needs to have a better handle on exactly what, we're not telling administration what to do, but when we're voting on these pays and we're voting on whether or not these are full-time or part-time positions, we should have a say before they're actually created.
Well,
And a second to table, and
Well-
Councilmember Campbell did call the question, which does
So-
end the debate.
Well, I just want to give the, you know, not trying to put a halt in everything, but what assurances do we have?
That this money won't be spent on that, or, well, it is, and it has been. And I got the employee census, and I couldn't figure out why there was such a high number in one of the positions, when I know what the position is. So if we vote on this, then you can spend it and do what you want, right?
Well, again, everything is subject to the approval of the 2019 budget.
But in the meantime, between now and then, you have the temporary budget to work with.
And I would like to ask the attorney, I'm not sure about how in-depth we can get into
We
this.
we really can't. We really
I
can't.
mean,
Yeah, we
to the
can't.
extent you want to try to
No,
do
well, we can't,
an executive session or something,
Could
unless,
we discuss it in executive session tonight? Because I think it is it's imperative that we pass a temporary budget as soon as possible, because it does put purchasing on halt at the township, which is,
At a time when there's approaching snowstorms for this weekend, if we start blowing engines, transmissions, plows, how are we going to fix these trucks and get them back out?
Well, then this should have all been, so this, you know our concerns now, so you guys put us in this position. We
No,
did not
what
put
we're trying to
ourselves in
do
this
is make
position.
this town more efficient and save money at the same time, and we've done it. And I will give you the figures if you go through the
You didn't give us any
audit.
information beforehand. This is just thrown
I've
at us.
had discussions with council members. They come in, you never come in.
well, excuse
You don't
me,
even
wait,
email me.
excuse me,
Communicating.
Never even
excuse
come
me,
in.
excuse me, order, here. There's no reason for us to be getting into a battle here.
Yeah, geez.
But- Lauren, can we actually have an executive, or,
We'd have to rice notice the employee to
Yeah.
have an executive session.
well, I don't
Will
think it has to
require a
do with
rice
the
notice.
employee, it has to do with an individual position.
so if we're going to just discuss a position, well, or multiple positions?
Well, if the person was already given a position, and now you're discussing removing it, that I.
Well, we're not discussing removing it. We're not discussing removing it. We're just discussing positions. So, but like I said, I also do not want to get into a situation.
Mr. Towns, would we require a rice notice if it was discussion of a position in an executive session?
no, it should be sufficient if you keep it just position and not a specific affecting the rights of a specific employee.
Because it's, and I'm saying that
If
there,
we did have a discussion, it would be very clear that by making this change, we would actually be saving.
well, but that's not, what we're looking at is discussing some positions, and some positions that are not even filled is what we're looking, so we are in fact, would like to discuss positions.
So if
We
we're
can-
saving money, explain to
So
us
we-
how
we
we
can-
would be.
we-
I think
can do-
need to be able to do that, but I would need to do
Right,
it in
so
an
we should have
executive session.
really-
Okay.
I would be more than happy to do an executive session to discuss the positions.
So then I'll remove my table for now.
And,
I'll remove
well,
the,
you have to table it at this moment if you're not going to.
Okay, well, we'll-
Push back until,
even if we're going to go into executive at the end of the meeting?
yeah, then you can bring it back out after you take, afterwards.
Okay, so we'll table it till the end. I had a second. Roll call?
Councilmember Ooms,
Yes.
Councilmember Kadesh.
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel.
Yes.
Councilmember Allberger.
Yes.
Council President Murphy.
Yes.
Motion to table resolution 1940 pending an executive session.
Next, we move on to Resolution 1959. This resolution, it was brought to my attention that it was something that was discussed with the fire departments, but not with the ambulance. And I guess I'd just like to ask the council members if anybody have any questions, or if I
Yes,
could
I'd
just
like to table this.
well, I'd like to ask administration if they could just, I mean, if you want to make a motion to table it, that's fine. Would you like to at least have an explanation?
Well, I read the RFP. I mean, you're saying it's a study to, I think you're looking at the wrong people. I thought our fire marshal is the expert on fire. So in this RFP, it's talking about response times and things like that, so I would think that he could address that. And I think he's supposed to be our expert on EMS or the EMS people. So other than this is trying to evaluate whether we should privatize or not, maybe it is, maybe it's not, but if it's not, then I think we should be using our own people instead of paying $30,000.
Okay, can I explain how this all came
Well,
about?
That's what I'm just asking is,
Sure.
would the council like to hear an explanation of what?
Sure.
Because Councilmember Ohms did ask for put a motion out to table. So if,
The Vernon Fire Chiefs, starting last year, had invited,
Can everybody hear?
We're having trouble back here.
we can't hear.
the Vernon Fire Chiefs, starting last year, had invited myself and/or Mayor Shortway to attend at least one of their meetings per quarter. And in October of the past year, I attended such a meeting. Mayor Shortway was unable to attend that meeting, and at that meeting, the Vernon Fire Chiefs made a request to me to do this exact thing. They requested a study be done on how they could best be served to perhaps consolidate the 4 departments in the proper way. And that would include the organizational structure. It would include the vehicles that were assigned to each of the firehouses and other parts that are listed in the RFP. And I said that I would come back to the mayor, discuss with him. We agreed that we thought it was a good idea, and we decided to add EMS in because, as we all recall, a year ago, this past August, when we were trying to introduce an ordinance for that, there was a lot of debate about it. We had members of at least one of the squads come here and say something to the effect that if it's not broken, don't fix it. And towards the end of that same meeting, we had the Vernon Police Chief who stepped up to the mic and said, it's broken and you definitely have to fix it. So obviously we have a difference of opinion, and rather than get into perhaps discussion with people who may have vested interests, we thought it was in the best interest, especially since the fire department are volunteers, EMS are volunteers, that we do a complete and thorough study of both services to this community, because I think we'll all agree that these are 2 of the most important services that we offer to this community through our volunteers. And we want to make sure that we're doing things right. And like I said, the suggestion or the request did not come from anyone else other than our volunteer firefighters. And when it came, I went around the room, there were all four chiefs represented there, and twice I asked them, because one of the fire chiefs in particular said, after they all agreed to it, he says, guys, listen, just be careful what you wish for, because sometimes when you do a study like this, it may not come out the way you think it might. And so I paused and I said, are you all sure you still want to go forward with this study? And it was unanimous. All four said, yes, we would like this study done. So that was the purpose of it.
And the town is supposed to be paying, not the individual departments?
The township is paying for the study to guide us, because we.
But at any time, like when you were including the ambulance, you didn't reach out to either of the ambulance squads to just say they were being included in this?
No, I didn't.
Okay, because that's one of the things that happens. What happens is the emergency services immediately think that what you're attempting to do is shut them down. And go.
Why would they think that?
I'm relaying information. So if you're including all of them, they should all be included in the conversation. So that's how we get to this point. And that's.
Well, the specs are very clear. I have copies of them here.
Well, I understand that the specs are clear, but it's just that, you know, if you sat down with the chiefs from the fire department and decided to do this, then the ambulance should have at least had the courtesy of being involved in this.
Well, we did go to each of the ambulance squads in the past year and did speak to them, but they were in disagreement on going forward with the ordinance we had proposed a little
No,
over a year ago.
I'm not talking about, I know, I understand
Right,
it, but
so-
I'm talking about this particular item.
Right.
Survey.
The survey, the study. It's just out of courtesy, so,
Okay. But does that mean it's not still a very good idea to do based upon what we need to do going forward to make sure that we're providing the best services to the residents of this township?
and that, providing the best service is important. However, giving the fact that we're not out of the woods yet with the bankruptcy, which the council is fully aware of, I'm not exactly sure that we should be spending money. And that was what I had relayed to the mayor, that I'm not sure that we should be spending money on studies at this time, provided that we don't really know the outcome will be with Mountain Creek Inn.
See, we have open space studies, plans, we have master plans. I'm all over the MUA because they have failed to do an asset management plan. We spend millions of dollars in this equipment, from the fire trucks to the rigs. We just bonding, we got a $1.3 million ladder truck on the way. Last year, if you remember, we got blindsided with all the SCBAs, you know, the air packs on their back. They were all expiring except for one company's on February 1st, and we had to come up with $700,000 to replace them because there was no plan. We need to have a plan to manage this. What do we need? What don't we need? How can we do this better? There's discrepancy in one department that the other three departments say they don't need a certain piece of apparatus. I can't decide that. I'm not an expert. Our fire marshal says we don't need it. But I don't want more conflict within it. We want to get an expert in here, company, to come in and see if we can improve response times. Where are we going to have to replace? What year do we have to replace emergency vehicles? Do we need, John, you know better than I, what do we have, 3 emergency vehicles? Do we need all 3? How many ladders do we need? Now, the departments say, they're telling me we need 2 new tankers. I don't know the age of those, we could find out. But what is the plan going forward when we're in financial crisis from the bankruptcy? We need to have a 10, 15, or 20-year-old plan. I think the ladder truck, and John, please correct me again, is approximately 29 years old at McAfee.
Yeah, and the 2 tankers are both 97s.
We need to have a plan going ahead, not for my administration. This is something we don't even have to address in my administration. But I wish to lay the foundation for a plan going ahead for the following years. So another administration comes in, another council comes in, they can start budgeting, deciding what are we going to do, when we're going to do it.
Well, I tend to agree with Councilmember Ohms. We actually had discussion today over it. Until we know what's happening with Mountain Creek, because we know that that's not a sure thing, I actually would second the motion to table it for now. And based on the fact that I think you really need to have that communication with the ambulance squads, you know, because you had them with the chiefs, you should have them with the ambulance, because we don't need to be, you know, going through this. When somebody mentions ambulance and right away everybody jumps, it's like, okay, you want to shut us down. I know that's not the case, but I still think the conversation needs to be had.
Our volunteers do a great job, I want that on the record. They are
It's-
highly.
it was in the paper last week.
They are our foot soldiers.
Lou Tosto said they do an outstanding job, and they all responded to that fire last week, so they do. But in the same sense, with Mountain Creek, and knowing that we're not out of the woods with that at all.
Why can't, I mean, we have our fire marshal, he's supposed to be the expert. We have the chiefs, we have EMS. Is there somebody that can come in and speak to them? I'm sure they go to meetings, and I'm sure there's people out there. Is there another way to get this information other than spending $30,000? Do they talk to other towns? Is there somebody that maybe can come in and talk to them, or they can meet with them?
But they were in disagreement with the fire marshal,
Well, then
with
somebody's-
what he had proposed, because he had proposed.
Well, he's the expert, though, so we should be going with what he said.
Nobody was listening to him a little over a year
We should
ago.
go- Well, what makes you say they're going to listen to this?
Okay, well.
Because it's outside of Vernon, that's why. It's
All right.
it's objective.
We have a first and a second to table it. Roll call?
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Kadesh?
I'll pass.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Alberger?
Abstain.
Council President Murphy?
Yes.
Councilmember Kadesh?
Before I vote, I want to make a statement, and that is 25 years ago, when I was fire commissioner, I asked for a 10-year plan. We had a 10-year plan, and that operated for quite some time. And I don't understand how these processes have been shoved away from the people who sit up here on this dais, but that's what's been happening. The equipment belongs to the Township of Vernon. It really is an issue that belongs on this dais. But it seems that certain processes have been moved away from this dais and compartmentalized. I had to negotiate and moderate a big discussion between two ambulance houses because they wanted to put it all together into one unified thing. You have different cultures in different houses, and it's absolutely necessary to support both houses. So these are things that have to be decided up here. We're the people who make the policy. So regardless of whether you come back and use this study or not, personally, I'm voting against tabling it because I believe that an outside firm that's a professional firm makes unbiased judgments. And at least then we up here who get elected to do this job can do the job. But if we continually compartmentalize and move these processes away from the council, it becomes a fragmented operation, to say the least. So I vote against it.
Motion carries to table resolution 1959.
Next, we have Resolution 1962, resolution authorizing the interlocal services agreement for the Department of Public Works. Councilmember Kadesh, did you, or Councilmember Ohms? Did you have-
To change it from 30 to 90-day notice, I think it should be 90 days.
No, it is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I agree.
It is. That was, you had a change, actually. What happened is the attorney, you had a change given to us.
The council can vote to accept the change, or they can
Yeah.
keep it.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
Okay.
yes.
So that's, yeah.
That's what I mean,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
to
I
accept
wasn't
it.
sure if you saw that. Okay.
Yes, to accept the 90, yes.
Was there anything else?
I make a motion to accept the change.
There's a motion and a second to change 30 to 90. Roll call. Councilmember Coombs?
Yes.
Councilmember Kadesh?
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Wahlberger?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes.
Motion carries to change the notice from 30 to 90 days. We need to have a motion to adopt the resolution.
May I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Coombs?
Yes.
Councilmember Kadesh?
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Wahlberger?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt.
Next, we have ordinance 1902. It's a first reading for the calendar year 2019 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits to establish a cap bank NJSA 40A:40-45.14. This establishes the cap bank or COLA ordinance for 2019. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 1902 with a public hearing to be held January 28th, 2019?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Coombs?
No.
Councilmember Kadesh?
I'm lost at this point, sorry.
Oh,
Where's the ordinance? Oh,
This is the cap
Yes.
bank. Yes. Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Wahlberger?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
yes.
Motion carries to introduce ordinance 1902 with public hearing on January 28th.
Next, we have ordinance 1903, ordinance of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 94 of the Code of the Township of Vernon regarding the police division. This makes various changes to the Township Code for the Police Department. I see that Captain Dan Young and Lieutenant Kinkowski are here this evening. Before we go into this, would we like to have any discussion since they are here?
Yeah, definitely.
Would you like to step forward, please? You can, I don't know if you want to stand or take a chair. Now, this ordinance was originally given to the council. There were some modifications that were made along the way with to the administration before it was actually brought to the council's agenda. So I'm not sure if, Councilmember Owens, did you say you had some questions?
Yeah, just two quick questions. I see that, and if I'm reading this correctly, that we used to have that patrolman needed to have a college background or some college credits in criminal justice or science?
Yes.
So you took that out?
Yes, well, actually, what we found was, during the hiring process last year, was that was one of our requirements in our ordinance, and civil service does not mandate that. So when somebody takes an entry-level exam to become a police officer, and we're a civil service town, that's not a requirement in civil service. But we were requiring that as the Vernon Township was. So when I contacted civil service, because we had an applicant that did not have that background as required by our ordinance, civil service said, well, if they'll win this on appeal, if you decline them employment because of that college background. They said that was improper. They said we needed to mirror what the civil service standards were.
So that 18-year-old also?
Yes,
We
that
had
also mirrors
21
that.
and now it's 18? Okay.
Yes.
That's my only question.
And why did you take out the physical examination?
Well, the reason that, as I'm coming in as the brand new chief, that physical exam's been in there since, long before I've ever worked here, and they've never given a physical exam annually to any police officer. That could be administered managerially, in my opinion. So instead of violating the ordinance every year and not giving somebody a physical exam, there's no appropriations in the budget for that. I'm not sure where that money would even come from. My thought process was we could administer that as a manager as I'm going forward, if that need arises.
Just to let you know too, I'm sorry to interrupt, they are required to have physical exams prior to becoming a police officer with the
Prior to
township anyway.
That's correct.
It's a condition of pension enrollment, so.
There's no requirement to do that other than ourselves through ordinance. So we would end up incurring expenses every year, sending every police officer to a physical exam.
Would it be wise to do one every 5 years or every 10 years? Or,
Well-
I mean, what's the reason why other communities do it? Because I know others do it every year.
Sure. Well, I found a program. There's a program, it's a nonprofit organization called the Captain Bouchard organization. And what they do is they partnered with a whole bunch of specialist doctors, and they accept the town insurance. There's no additional costs incurred. It's the bare minimum, whatever the township insurance pays is what they accept. And it is the most in-depth physical exam you could ever possibly get, more than you would ever get from your regular doctor. My intent is to offer that to all my guys. I mean, what better program could you get than the best physical exam you could possibly give somebody? And so that wouldn't be mandated by you, that would be offered by me.
But then is that mandated that they have to comply? If you say you have to go do this every 5 years or whatever, they have to comply if it's not in the code?
Well, I could set that by policy and procedure if I wanted to.
Okay.
My thought was to make the most financial best decision, which would be to take that out and let me do it managerially. And if we could do it, and we could accomplish that without no expenses incurred whatsoever by us, it would be through their basic physical exam that they would take anyway with their own doctor every year. Instead, they could go to this program and get one 10 times better.
Well, why can't it be referred to in the ordinance?
If you'd like to do that, we could. My concern was that if a guy decides he doesn't want to go for his physical exam, then I'm mandating him to go to a town doctor to get a physical exam, the way that that's written.
My concern is that if we had a new chief who decides that it's not necessary at all, then it's not even offered at that point. We have a lowering of standards.
Well, right now,
At least
like I
if it's
said,
referred, that you have a program that everyone must, contribute participation at least once every 5 years, then it's in the town code.
If I could just interject here, there was a whole section of this ordinance that dealt with the township physician.
I know.
And there hasn't been a township physician in this township for, I know, I asked Chief Mills, he says it wasn't one when I came on in 1988. So it's something that appeared to be antiquated language. There are some towns that may have appointed a township physician, but one hasn't been appointed here in more than almost 30 years or more. So we thought all the rest of the language that followed included in this was referring to a township physician, which doesn't exist. Since Captain Young suggested that he be able to administer it through policy, we thought, again, that would be a better way to go.
my concern was it's never been done. Coming in, I'm evaluating things that we're doing. I want to make sure everything is exactly how it should be. I recognize that as something that we've never done. Whether it should have been or not, it was never done. And there's no finances budgeted for that sort of a program. And it can be accomplished, like I said, through the administration of myself, through a policy and procedure, and offering a program to our guys that are going to be far superior to any
But
town doctor that
my
Like you
comment
said,
is not
was they didn't-
disputing that. My comment is, shouldn't it be included in the ordinance?
Can I interject here? First of all, I believe in these physicals as a cancer survivor, and as of tomorrow, I have to go back for another 6-month checkup. I think it's great. Everybody should go through these physical examinations. I mean, we had a proclamation tonight about it, as a matter of fact. My concern is, if the officers have to go get a physical, how does HIPAA fall in that? Let's say they are discovered to have prostate cancer. And let's say it's minor. Do they have to tell their employer they now have been diagnosed with prostate cancer? What is the effect of HIPAA?
But it's a life-saving procedure.
But some people, I mean, I'm open about it.
The other towns do that, make their officers get physical.
I just don't know what other towns. I know when I was president of the PBA, the local was against it because you may find personal medical situations that will force that officer into retirement. after 5 years. So I don't know how this relates to HIPAA, how this exams are going to relate to the pensions. I know it was back in the 80s, there was a big concern in the former department I worked in, that they fought it and they had it removed from the ordinance. Again, I am a proponent of early detection and getting the physicals because it saved my life. But I don't know what other problems. Yeah, we all should be willing to go get those exams, especially if insurance and what you're proposing is a fantastic idea. It could save lives. It saved my life. It could save someone else's life. But these are just other issues that I bring up that need to be considered.
Well, that's a good point. What would we do? There would be going there, but we can't get any of the information. But it could be for the officer's best benefit, even if that information isn't revealed. Hopefully, an
least if-
officer finds out that he's got COPD and he can't run, that he would take himself off or do something on his own about it. Or, you know, I'm just saying that, but it could be a different diagnosis that they would say, well, I can't operate as a police officer anymore.
But we do have in our rules and regulations mandates that if officers take certain types of, any sort of prescriptions, they are mandated to notify the chief, so I could take
Well,
appropriate
that's,
action.
I would think that's a HIPAA violation right there. But I don't know how the police work. So
Well, if
I
there's
would think the
certain-
medical will fall in that too then.
I honestly don't know. I know if there's certain prescription meds that, you know, if you shouldn't be driving a car, clearly you shouldn't be carrying a gun. And they're forced to notify me, you know, through our rules and regulations that are adopted by the council that make them tell me what they're taking.
It's a Pandora's box.
I'm in favor at least, yes, throw out any reference to the township physician. But if you have a program within the department, it should be referred to in the ordinance as part of the town procedure, that at least, whatever you want to make it, every 5 years, someone must have participate in that program.
So do you want it to just reflect as per the police department policy?
Well, then you
Well,
say
I mean,
they
I'm
don't
just-
have to do it then.
Well,
Well, no, I can make that a mandate in my policy. I'm able to do that by management of my policies and procedures.
But as I suggest, when you retire, it could be replaced by someone who has a
he
different
hasn't
law.
gotten in, you're kicking him out already?
It's
been a long time
Just to bring up one point, in that scenario, you can always revise the ordinance at that time, so, you know.
Depends on the council.
Questions?
So I don't know that we have clarity from Councilmember Kadesh what you're asking. I mean,
My point is, if it's referred to as a program that you must participate at least once every 5 years as part of the town policy, I don't know what that does in terms of liability, but as far as I'm concerned, it would protect the town if someone refused to have a physical that might reflect on his or her condition. I mean, to me, it's just a smart move, you know, to at least refer to it in the ordinance.
well, that's what I'm saying, but you want it referred to that they have to have a physical, or you want it referred to that the police department has a policy? I mean,
The policies that we have in place, the officers are mandated to follow. You know, they don't have a choice about following our policies and
so-
procedures. And, that was just my concern was you have an ordinance in place that's not currently being followed properly.
So what you have in
It's
place is mandated, so whatever we put in, it doesn't really matter because it's already mandated by the police
Right,
department.
and I can always make, my policies and procedures a little more strict if I wanted to.
So,
All right, well,
I guess a question I have is, could you just elaborate a little bit on this, moving from 5 to 6 sergeants?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So what we currently have right now, we have our patrol lieutenant, our administrative lieutenant, I'm sorry. He's in charge of the day-to-day operations of animal control. So looking at the 6th sergeant position, I looked at a whole bunch of several factors. One of them is, first and foremost, the state of New Jersey changed its law this year, and they disbanded the ASPCA. I'm not sure if everybody's aware of that. So they took all the responsibilities of the ASPCA, and they put it back on the local municipality. So we had a couple of choices. We could either send an animal control officer, hire one, and send them, and they have to meet the police training commission requirements, which means they have to go through the same police academy that we go through, in order to be an animal control officer and do those animal cruelty investigations. Obviously, that would be a major expense. The alternative is to assign one of our officers to be a humane law enforcement officer, take over all the responsibilities of the ASPCA. So that's what we did, because obviously that was a significantly cheaper option. So we sent them to all the school.
And who did you assign? I'm sorry.
It's Detective Sean Fitzgerald. Detective Sean Fitzgerald
Okay.
is our humane law enforcement officer.
Only one?
Well, we also sent Lieutenant Kukowski, because he's obviously overseeing, as the lieutenant, he was overseeing the day-to-day operations of what was going on over there. So we're in a position now that all of those investigations are going to be handled by us, so we have additional oversight. That humane law enforcement officer reports directly to the prosecutor's office, as they have complete oversight for the county for all humane law enforcement officer positions. So, and as you look across to other agencies in the county, all those officers have rank because they're reporting to the prosecutor's office. And you don't have a lower level patrol officer reporting. So by changing it from being in charge of a lieutenant, I can make a sergeant in charge of that, and I can couple that with, now they're going to be handling all the animal cruelty investigations anyway. So I was looking at that facet of it, and then in addition to it, I said, well, there's a couple other things, because the sergeant's not just going to do that. I'm going to have other things that he's going to be in charge of. Something that's critical to Vernon Township right now is obviously the heroin epidemic. And Detective Sean Fitzgerald, who's currently our humane law enforcement officer, he's also one of our lead officers for narcotics investigations. That would be specifically come under him, and he could handle death investigations, he could handle all narcotic trafficking investigations, and that would also give him freedom amongst his day to do some more of our in-depth narcotics investigations, which I think is really critical to help us to start combat this problem that we've been facing. We also have the CLEAR program. The CLEAR program is a new program in the county. It's specifically to give residents an option that have, narcotic dependency issues, a place to go. It gives them a place to go to start the rehab. Well, the issue that we're facing is that, once somebody overdoses in Vernon Township, we really don't have that connection to get back to them and get them all this clear information. It's one of the disconnects that we found. So, in a lot of other agencies, what they're doing is they're assigning a specific sergeant that says, okay, now you're going to go out, you're going to reconnect. So if you had a heroin overdose in your family, and the person obviously survives, that officer would come out and he's going to be able to present you with a package and say, okay, here's a CLEAR program. This is what's involved in it. It's going to give you an opportunity to maybe go get a bed somewhere to start getting some help. So that would be another duty assigned to them. I have a whole bunch of duties here. I don't know if you want me to go through all of them, but can I just touch on the one last one, which I think is pretty critical, is I would also put him in charge of supervising commercial truck traffic enforcement. As you know, we have some serious issues with commercial truck traffic right now. We've had issues with trucks on 515, coming down 515. We have some serious issues with commercial truck traffic on 565 right now. To me, if I'm able to put somebody specifically in charge with that task, I'm able to give him the time to get over there and really do what needs to be done to make sure we're enforcing that commercial truck traffic like we need to.
So that would be separate from what Patrolman Camaris?
Well, so Patrolman Kamaris, he has a very long list of responsibilities. He does all of our, IT, all of our IT work within the department, not to mention traffic safety. He is extremely busy day to day. So if he's dealing with bus stop issues or he's dealing with whatever issues going on in town, he also has to try to give a little bit of time to go over and deal specifically with that issue. This gives us a little more freedom to take somebody and do all the things that are really important to Vernon right now that we really need to get done.
You actually, just on a separate little note, it just made me think of, we had a resident that sent an email requesting that some of the businesses have stop signs outside of as they're pulling out, so maybe if administration wanted to speak to you about that particular business.
If there's any stop signs there,
I
would just send an officer.
It's a major exit from a business, so it's going onto a highway, so.
Yeah, did you guys get that email?
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe, I'm just
But this-
mentioning it now, it just came, I just thought of it now, so it's prime opportunity to just maybe address that.
So really, the six sergeant's position, I understand, through the reorganization of some of the way things are set up right now, without getting into too much detail, by making a sergeant, we could actually realize a cost savings.
So it's not going to affect this year's budget?
no, you should be able to realize the cost savings by doing some of the reorganization we need to do. And I already have to have him there because he's the humane law enforcement officer anyway. So if I already have somebody that has to go handle all this stuff, I might as well give him the authority to actually run it and save a few dollars. So that's my thought process behind it.
Great. Any other questions from any council members? No? Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Thank you.
Are there any changes that any of the council members believe that need to be proposed or no? May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 1903 with a public hearing to be held on January 28th, 2019?
Motion?
I have a first and a second.
Second.
Well, Sandy second.
What?
Roll call?
Yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Kadesh?
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Goldberger?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes.
Parents introduced ordinance 1903 with a public hearing on January 28, 2019.
Next, we move on to our second public session. Time is limited to 3 minutes on any topic. May I have a motion to open up? Give a second. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Is there anyone from the public that would like to step forward, have any comments on any item?
Good evening, Council Mayor. My name is Martin O'Donnell. Recently, some residents and I have put together an organization called, for lack of other names, People Against Illegal Dumping. I'm sure you all know what this is all about, Silver Spruce. Okay? I'm here not to bust your chops, to be honest with you. I'm here to gain information. Right? We have a meeting in 2 days. Probably have 50 to 60 people coming to this meeting. Okay? I want to be able to tell them what our town has done for us, why they can't do any more, and where they're going in the future with this. All right, and the reason I want to do this is because I think you guys are getting a bad rap. Okay, there's a lot of people that are misinformed out there, and I want to assist you guys in informing them what you guys are going to do, or have done, and are doing in the future. So if you guys could do that for me right now, that'd be great.
Council President, I'll just ask, respectfully, sir, that the administration and council not comment at this time. This matter is currently under litigation.
You realize this is the only comment that these people ever get, and that's why they think you're doing nothing? Why is it that you people can't tell us what you're doing or what you've done? Why is that not public knowledge?
That's
Why is
actually-
everything
I'm
such a
sorry,
great kept
but
secret?
we've never met, and I don't think you've been here at any of the council meetings, but I can assure you that there are many of those residents that know exactly what's going on.
Okay.
So
What
I'm just saying
to
is
you
as you're
if
stepping.
it's public knowledge, why can't you tell me?
Because we're involved in a litigation
Okay.
as our attorney.
You've obviously done something to get there, so why can't you give me that information?
I can tell you what we've done that's been public, correct? But we're not going to give away strategies that are coming because it could end up in court. I will tell you, we've issued 67 summonses, counting today, for zoning violations. I know many residents don't understand that a zoning violation is not a criminal offense. We cannot make arrests for zoning violations. Our officers, other than a few domestic violence or drugs, can't arrest someone for a disorderly person's offense unless it's committed in their presence. These don't even qualify as disorderly persons offenses. We have gone up the chain all the way up to the governor's office requesting that the DEP assist us in testing the pile, and it's been public. Commissioner McCabe said, no, it's too expensive. So we've gone the political route. We've passed an ordinance, which I'll mention tonight in my comments, to help us. But if they don't follow a plan, if they don't follow our rules, and it upsets me when somebody says, oh, if I put up a shed illegally, they'll arrest me. Well, that's not true. You'll get a notice of a violation. If you fail to adhere to that, then you will receive a summons. That's where it has to be addressed. We have spent thousands of dollars. We've gone to Superior Court requesting an injunction to stop the trucks. Judge Brennan refused to grant that. We tried to appeal his decision, and the appellate wouldn't hear it. He even questioned the stop work orders, that they may be defective. At that point, we cannot stop the trucks. we have these documents, I'm going to be a little sarcastic here, called the Constitution of the State of New Jersey and the United States. We cannot be stopping people unless we have reasonable suspicion of a crime, et cetera, is being committed here. And for them to just travel down the road, we can't stop them. So one of the things I have proposed, and this is if the chief of police, when we get the findings, is a truck unit. We'll start with one. They have to be specially trained. That's going to cost money. We're going to need the manpower to do it, and we want it under supervision also to give the span of control, et cetera, on that to keep the services. So what have we done? We've gone to court, and we weren't granted it by a judge. We have another stop work order in effect. We have to wait till we get a conviction. You know, it's been a ring around the rosy, so to speak. We can't get into a court. There's always a conflict of interest. We're trying that. We're trying to even get it moved out of the county for this. So we played the political route. This council passed an ordinance to try. I've asked state legislators to make this a criminal offense if it's in violation of stop work order in a residential area. It's gained no momentum. Some have said it's unconstitutional. I fail to see why it is on that. We've approached early on. It's like the Highlands. Everybody says we're in the Highlands, right? It restricts our development, right? We're protecting local water for 5.8, 6.2 million people. Highlands has no enforcement. The soil conservation, which is really a part of the agricultural department in the state of New Jersey, they have no enforcement. So it's like you make these regulations, but you have no one to enforce them, so what good are they? A lot of people compare us to New York, but New York has different laws, plus they have like an environmental police that can enforce these. So you can't even compare us with New York because it's different laws. So we are going through every legal strategy you can, remedy. It's constantly being looked at. And today, I think that's all we worked on until about 1 o'clock today. But until we find that solution that will be upheld in court, we can't go forward. And I know you want to hear what we're doing, not just you. I mean, everybody does. We're doing everything we can, but we cannot let subjects of this particular matter, where most of you are from, or other parts of the community know what we're doing, because they'll start building up a defense for this.
Right, I mean, the question was not, you know, I don't want you to give away your strategy, I just want to know you have one.
And we are developing one because we're going to be going to court. I mean, like I said, we have 67 summonses so far issued for the zoning violations. That is the township. You had Commissioner McCabe and her deputy saying, this is a local issue. Well, the locals, us, our community, can only do so much through the ordinance process. It doesn't carry the weight of a criminal offense.
Right.
And that really handcuffs us on what we can do. We would love to get a search warrant. You know, we have an independent, right? Mike Fury and his company.
Mayor, just
All right, I'll stop. See, I do want to give you the information, but
No,
I have to look out for the welfare of the
It's great to know that
town.
you guys have a strategy, and that's what I'll bring back to my meeting with me. I mean, I'd like to help you guys any way I can, all right?
We
And I'd
appreciate
like to
that.
inform the people that we've put together, but inform them correctly. Because, you know, social media is social media, and everybody says everything bad on social media, whether it's right or wrong. So at least this way I can bring something back and tell the people you are doing something. Do we know when the new court date is by chance?
No, I
No,
don't.
it's up in the air right now?
Yes,
Okay. All right, that's all. Thank you very much.
you're very welcome.
I have some questions. My name is Kathy Savaschak. I'm a resident of Vernon for over 25 years. I want to know if you're working with Sparta because they have a similar issue.
Sparta's
Are you in-
issue is similar but different, because actually they ended up having a property owner that conformed, so to speak. So we do not.
And I also want to know why the citizens had to go to the freeholders on the meeting on January 9th.
Why they had to go?
Why they had to go to ask them to come here, to ask the freeholders to come, and to ask Sparta to come to discuss it with.
Sparta? No one had to go.
Um,
Well, if
at
they
the-
wanted to go to the freeholders meeting, I believe that that's a public meeting and they're free to go.
Right.
And
they
that's,
brought up.
and that's if they wanted to address it with the freeholders, that's where it does belong.
They were asking for help for you to address it.
You are aware, we also went, was it July we went?
We, a
But we
couple
went during the
times.
summer,
Yeah, we
doing the same thing.
had a couple meetings. I've been to a couple of the freeholder meetings. I went to the
I
first
just want to
time.
know if it's a coordinated effort, because even if you stop him at where he's working in Vernon, What stops him from buying another piece of property and doing it again?
If he has money and somebody wants to sell it,
Right,
he can
so
purchase.
what stops him? Why can't
but,
that be the goal?
Yeah,
Listen.
but it's just, you know, that's, we can't stop citizens from
Doing illegal...
buying property. I
And
mean,
bringing
that's,
5,000
we can't
tons of
stop
dirt
somebody
on
from
them.
buying property. Okay, and the problem is getting into court.
Okay,
But
I'm just saying that the people of Vernon Township are frustrated, and they would like to see
we
more
all live in Vernon
coordination and-
Township.
Yeah, and they'd like to see more coordination to
That's-
resolve the issue.
Then actually what I'd have to say is that the residents that are aware, that have been involved in this from the time, from the beginning, you know, if they've been at your meeting, then those are the people that you would probably need to speak to, because what you're asking, I mean, whether or not people had to go to a freeholder meeting,
People are begging. The
I've been
people
to
of
a freehold-
Vernon
but I'm
feel
just
that
saying
they
is,
have to
we're-
beg for
we don't-
help, not just from the freeholders, but from the department, for everybody. Because the people of Vernon feel like there's nothing being done because
well, we
it's
don't
been
know what
going
people
on
you're
and
talking,
on.
you're referring to, so.
There's thousands of them on
Yeah, that's-
Facebook, and they belong to the Vernon associations.
Can I suggest that after the meeting, you speak to the people in the second and third rows here?
I've been there
They
for
can-
the meetings.
They can bring you up to speed on all that's been done.
It's been a long time, though. It's been many years.
Way too long.
And the zoning violations, from what I understand, only went in 2018. Were there any zoning violations from 2017 or 2016?
Actually, this administration was contacted by a resident in November of 2017. Prior administrations were notified and never did anything, which is what we found out recently. But it was, I believe, in November of 2017. Is that 2017?
Yes,
That
yes.
we were originally notified, so, and I'm being told to stop speaking.
Okay.
So. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to make any comments?
Good evening. My name is Pat DeStassi. I live on 4 Silver Spruce Drive in Vernon. It's nice to see you all again. It's been a while. Two things I just want to address. The problem on 3 Silver Spruce, which I have the privilege of living across the street, has been escalating dramatically in the last 3 weeks. Dramatically. All day, all day, all day, John. And I couldn't figure out what's to figure out. Why a pattern would go from 30 today, Mr. Mayor, to 50, 55. And I was shown a letter Sunday on their website, which answers the question, I don't have it with me, that everything's being escalated for a purpose. Wallace's purpose, and a trucking and barge company, which is transporting material from, I forgot the name of the state, New York, up the Hudson, bringing it down to a point down here, Harry, I think you saw what I'm referring to, and Chuck, to take materials, have them unloaded, and brought to, by truck, 3 Silver Spruce Drive. I mean, it's absolutely amazing, whatever, I mean, you know, with everything we hear, we see, we think, we hope, that something like this comes across the wire, Mark, and this is very, very, very compelling. No matter how you look at it, Counselor, it's compelling. What it involves, as per my phone calls, it is interstate trucking with questionable material, and this is not questionable, this is contaminated material. So, although the escalation is there in terms of how many trucks, I'm the one that's always saying to this body, Harry, right? It's falling apart. I say that and people look at me like, say that again. It's falling apart. It's unraveling. It's coming from places you never thought of. I never thought of. So, with the good work that these people are doing, and with the good work that these people are going to start doing, all right, Mike Fury back there and the rest of this group, this is the best opportunity we have had. Best opportunity we have had to close this down, Mr. Kadish. The best opportunity. Because we've made a lot of mistakes. We try to get help from this person and that person, okay? Ms. McCombs, we try to call people. They don't call us back. Forever. And this gets to be very, very frustrating. So, I believe communication is about to open wide up. Because, and I spoke about this once before, that when it comes to who has jurisdiction on that ecological disaster, there's a few people that are responsible. The first people I held responsible and will hold is the Sussex County Soil Conservation. A stop work order, 4 years of trucks coming from Queens, the Bronx, Manhattan, God knows where else. There were 3,000 to 4,000 trucks in that period. You know, Gene, we talked about this back when. Not to mention another 1,000 that went to 1 Silver Spruce Drive, Eric Gorboy's property, from material that Wallace was bringing in, and now is cited in the EPA. I'll call it a web page, complaint page. They had different sections. It's now a toxic site. You guys know that? No, you don't know that.
Gorboy's property?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You knew that. I don't mean these guys knew that. Okay? Because it's getting around. It's starting to surface. So that's good. That site, by the way, the DEP provides the evidentiary material, Counselor, to the EPA. The EPA reviews this case. In fact, they took a walk with you guys not so long ago around the property. They're now in a position to start looking seriously at 3 Silver Spruce Drive. Because I sent a 2-page compelling letter to the EPA saying, hey, you can't have contaminated soil here, Harry, and 4,000 truckloads here. They border each other. What do you think? So, finally, we get to the part where I believe in the next 45 days, I believe, an upscaled activity will be happening by various agencies, not to mention our own efforts to try to put these square holes, right, square pegs into it. So I'm encouraged by that. Trust me, I don't like hearing the noise, the dust, all right? Nobody does that lives there. But hell, I've been hearing this since 2009, Mark. Yeah. But look what's happened. Now you have a group, and this group gets bigger, and this group gets bigger, and this group gets bigger. This is the start, Martin. All right? You're going to have an army before you're done of quality people who want to do something. And some have done it. Linda. They've taken the action necessary to get attention on this. So that's my first update from Silver Spruce Drive. But here's something I don't think I talked to the board about, and I'm not going to make a long thing out of this. I spoke at Mike's meeting, and I spoke at another meeting, and I'm not sure if I approached the board with this. Have I come in here and discussed the potential of a fire hazard on 3 Silver Spruce Drive? I didn't think so. I didn't, Mark? Okay. Let me share this with you. Can you hear me back there? Because I really want you to hear this. Silver Spruce Drive, with 99 9/10 effort, Gene, looking at gravel, trucks, waste, God knows what, goes on and on and on. But during the course of years, Chuck, we didn't really realize that, well, you know, there are diesel trucks up there. There's 6 machines that run on diesel. So there's got to be a diesel dump back there, a fuel dump. From the wonderful pictures that come in by drone, you can size up whatever's down there with cars that are half buried, cars that are buried, and God knows what else is down there. You have also, to the right in the birds' pictures, it shows a tremendous amount of wood stacked up. I myself have seen 4 trucks come in, and then with the help of these people, they get to us and they say, well, here's another one, here's another one. On the wood, counselor. The wood are planks. In construction business, planks are no more than laying something on the ground, heavy wood, and making tracks so that heavy machinery with tracks, Gene, can go over. All right? I estimate between 900 and 1,300 are now on that property. These are dried, they're soaking with hydraulic fluid. Anything those machines leak, and they all leak, are on those boards. Now, you have the combination of that wood, the fuel in the diesels, in the machinery. You've got these cars, which I would bet on have fuel in them. This is a very, very clear danger. This is clearer than what's under it. Because it doesn't take anything to look at it and say, we have a problem, sir. And I discussed with these DEP people that if a fire broke out on my road up there, nobody would put that fire out for a long, long time. Your fire marshal told that to me. That we wouldn't be able to stop it because it's nothing but forests. And most of these streets over there, like ours, Panorama has one way out. We have one way out. So, you know, as I bring it up, Gene, we need to have something done very quickly. Very, very quickly. So, I started talking with fire marshals, and I've talked to people in New Jersey and Trenton and other places, and have been diverted more than a cue ball on a pool table. All right? But you know, I don't stop, I keep dialing. So I called our county fire marshal. He calls me back and said, I have a division that can handle that. Because somebody's got to be able to walk up there, inspect, issue violations, and removal. There's 3 things. What we have up there by the New Jersey Fire Marshal's office, because I sent them 3 drone pictures, Chuck, is what they would call an ignition point. What's an ignition point? Where a situation just like this has enough there to ignite a forest fire. That's their language, their ignition point. So, I have been speaking with this John Tonking, Tonking. Who is he? He's the Assistant Director of the Forestry Program in New Jersey, typically called New Jersey Forest Fire. And that's right, he's Assistant Director. I'd like you to take down a phone number. Everybody got a pencil up there? 973-786-6350. Need a little help right here, Harry. Because I called on a week from today, last week. He explains to me, yeah, we're a different arm of the DEP, we don't, good. When can you come here and look at this? He said he would get people out there, and because of the pictures he saw, agreed that this is where he came up with this flash point, ignition point position of this stuff. So I called him this morning, he didn't call me back. I'm upset. I would like you, as councilmen and women, council people, I would like you to drop a dime on that guy. Very nice man to talk to. Because I told him last week I was heading here this week, and I would like to tell them something happened, but it hasn't. So Harry, I mean, coming from people of position, if you will, Mark, when you pick up that phone, you say on a town council, you've got their attention. I call on Pat Stasi, I'm the pain in their ass, right? So I ask you to please help with this part of the program. Most of you have seen the birds, pictures, so it's all there. And I hope we can get somebody up there very quickly to take one position off this mountain that we don't have to worry about, Mr. Kadish. I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public?
Hi, Amanda Hayes, Vernon Township. Having come to several meetings here and in other places regarding this illegal dumping situation, I was prompted to take a look back at the situation that Wantage Township had with Joe Maggio. And they had essentially the same problem, illegal dumping. The DEP came in, and eventually, I never got a chance to finish reading, but I know that some things were done. Have you all considered talking to Wantage Township to see how they were able to get some kinds of resolution? You have?
Yes.
And that's not helpful either.
It seems as if in that case, they called the DEP right after it happened, and the DEP jumped on it, versus something that's been ongoing for a very long time that they don't want to seem to jump on.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there was somehow that we could connect with them to maybe get some insight, but I guess that's the way it is. It's just very disturbing. I mean, I know I stood here before and said that coming up 565 or going down 565, I feel like I'm taking my life in my hands. Right where you go by Tall Timbers, there's a dip and a curve, and they are never, those dump trucks are not on their own side of the road. Half of them don't even have license plates on them. And so the sides have been painted over, so you don't even know what company it is. There's no license plates. It's really upsetting to have one of these huge dump trucks coming at you, and you've got no place to go. There is literally no place to go. And I'm a new grandmother. I got a life to live. I'm a cancer survivor too. I want to watch my granddaughter grow up. I don't want to get smushed by a truck. We've had trucks come down 515. I heard there was another problem the other night where there's smoking brakes. We have to do something before somebody gets killed, because that's what's going to happen. None of us like to think about that, and I'm sure some of you have nightmares about that happening. But this is a really frightening thing, especially for those of us who live in close proximity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'll be brief. My name is Eileen Opfer, and I only came into knowledge of this whole thing going on just a few weeks ago, and I'm shocked. I've been trying to educate myself as much as possible, but my heart really goes out to these people suffering this for 10 years. It's incredible. And I saw the meeting the other day of the freeholders and watched that videotape, and I have to say, you have an employee that was there and testifying as a citizen, not as a member and employee of the township. She did a bang-up job. And you want to be proud of the people that you have in this township as employees, because she was bright, on point, and I know that some people are starting to attack her for that, and libel and whatever, but she has free speech. She did a great job, and she deserves credit for the bravery thing that she did. So I just want to mention that about Michelle. I don't even know her last name, but...
Downton.
What is the last name?
Downton.
Really good. Really, I want to praise her for that. A couple of points that came up, and you was already mentioned a little bit about Sparta and the fact that they were able to stop him and they having fines on him, and you said it was a different situation, I believe?
No, what I said was that the owner of the property stopped. The owner of the property, from what I'm told, stopped accepting.
Okay. Was there anything noticed about the soil as far as testing? Was
That I'm not aware of, but...
Are you still in communication with Sparta? Because that's
I'm
what
not
they
in
did say.
communication, but there are people that are in communication.
That's what the recommendations from the freeholders were too.
No, but that has been ongoing. So
Okay,
that's what I'm
good.
saying is
I don't know, so I'm glad
Well,
to
there's a
hear
new freeholder that's from Sparta, so that's why that was suggested.
Okay. Also, New York State, with the Warwick thing, 6 sites. I don't know if you guys are, I know it's a different situation again, but have you been communicating with them at all? As far as strategies that we could be using?
Yeah, their agencies are different than the DEP. New Jersey has the DEP. They have a different agency that has powers.
Because I spoke with a person from the Attorney General's office. His name is Andy Cass, and he really wants to help us. He's sending us, I asked for a packet of information. He's going to send it, which I'd be glad to share with you.
New York or New Jersey?
It's New York. And I think that it might give us some kind of basis as far as writing some kind of legislation, whatever, which we could work with ORHO or whoever, so that this never happens again to anybody like this again. It's disgraceful. And I just want to say that. So you mentioned about the court hearing. I guess it's being pushed and pushed and pushed, and everything seems to be, all the eggs are in one basket, it seems, as far as the courts. But we shouldn't be doing that.
It's in the hands of a judge right now, so we're waiting.
Okay, and I think I'll hear from other sources about when the actual date is. I do have a little in on that. And, but here's the problem. 30-plus years ago, I was on a group called, Hell No, We Won't Glow, the No Name Committee. And we worked, I'm going to start crying, because we worked months and hard and gave up our families. And we stood out in the streets, and my children were 1 year old and 3 years old and on up. And we sacrificed that whole summer, plus right through Thanksgiving, to beat something like this with the DEP. And we did it, and it was hard work. And I can't believe we have to go through this again. It's different, I understand that. But now it's different also because it's freezing out there. And it seems like now, as far as I don't see any action going on, that's why this group is forming, and boy, am I proud to be part of this group. They are smart, and everybody has talents and people that they know that they can tap, and I know it's going to be fabulous once we really get going. We just started. Everybody's saying it's all secret. It's not going to be secret, believe it, much longer.
Well, it's not secret now.
Okay, good. We're going to know exactly what's going to happen. I don't want to do it. I can't believe we have to be in the position to do this again. but we're willing to do it. I will stand out there when it's 9 degrees, which is coming up very soon, and with my children who are totally have learned from the past experience, and all their friends too. They moved away, but believe it or not, they're helping us. They're donating to the fund that we have, the GoFundMe fund, which is I'm also proud of. We're not using it for lawyers or anything like that. It's for just simple expenses of signs and things like that that we need as ongoing. At any rate, that's what we're going to do. I can't believe I'm going to have to do it again. I just ask you if you can, I mean, the township committee in the past tried to help us too, but it wasn't. It was ended up to be the people. I think you know that it was really the work of the people that got that solved. And I hope that you'll give us all the help that you can get. That's what I'm just asking you to do. Try to do every tentacle that you can get to any person that you know to work and see if we can actually, at our end thing is to change the legislation so this doesn't happen again. It's an awful thing that we're all going through. It's a disgrace. It really is. It's a big blot to our township. And thank you for listening to me. That's it. What was the saying? If the people lead, then somebody follows. That's the way it's going to be, I guess. Okay.
Thank you. Is there an...
You all know me, big now. Can I play an audio that I recorded from my living room a couple days ago?
For the record?
Your name
Is
for
it
the
allowed?
record?
Can you state your name for the record?
Peg DeStassi, 4 Silver Spruce. Would it be allowed for me to play it?
Is it just of noise of the
It's
trucks?
just noise. I want you to hear what we hear. This is in a closed house because last Monday was what degrees? And this is from my living room.
Yeah.
The banging and the noise. I just hope you can pick it up.
Put it by the mic, baby. You can hear it from here, but
Can you hear it?
maybe a mic, a loud mic over here. maybe.
I could hear banging from the...
You hear the banging? That goes on. I'm going to try to move it forward a little bit to get it again. Can you hear the engines running?
That's from 400 yards away, Gene.
I was afraid it wouldn't come up.
More.
Okay,
And
anyway.
I know other people that live...
The noise goes on from 6 in the morning till anywhere between 7 and 11. You never know when he's going to stop. That banging, you can feel it. You sit in at the kitchen table, and the water in your glass goes like this. And this goes on every day. We listen to this. We pay $12,000 a year real estate taxes to have our life destroyed and disrupted by this. I did not move here to have a dump and this construction noise in my living room every day. And I'm sorry, I get really upset, as you all know, but do you want to hear that? 24 hours, or well, 12 hours a day, every day of the week, including New Year's, Christmas, that noise went on, because the man doesn't care that it's a holiday, neither do his truckers. We listen to this all the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next time I'll bring it so you can really hear it.
Is there anyone else that have any comments?
Sally Rinker Vernon. Oh, sorry. I just want to make a few comments about Resolution 19-59 that you tabled tonight. And I know that, well, I wonder, does the council know that you can not second a table motion and make another motion to vote no? Because it seems like we keep like mixing and rehashing, and then these things disappear, and then they pop out when we all hope nobody's looking again, okay? To say that you're not an expert, Mayor Murphy, Mayor Shortway, pardon me,
Thank you for that.
Yeah, good luck. Yes, we do need a plan. We need a plan, right? And you're not an expert, and that's okay, because none of us are experts in many things. But we do have a fire official, we do have a business administrator, we do have a CFO, and we do have yourself. And just a quick round figure is about $300,000 worth of salaries, okay? So to say we need to spend another $30,000 to make a plan, I think we should better use the people that we have at our disposal here, that we're already paying, that have certain expertise to put in the mix. We have a council person on the fire department. We have the chiefs, who are potentially experts themselves in the apparatus and things that they need. We have many people on EMS that can contribute information, that can make a plan, okay? We don't need another study from an outside agency that's going to give us facts and figures that may or may not play into real life here in Vernon. Enough with the wasted money for studies. And as far as tabling this to see what happens with Mountain Creek, that's the most ludicrous statement a person can make. What in the heck does the outcome of Mountain Creek have to do with wasting more of our tax dollars? I'd like to know the answer to that one. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that have any comments? Please step forward. Linda?
Linda Jacob, and I'm not gonna speak at all. I just wanted to, I don't know if anybody's seen a recent picture, and this isn't actually the most recent, but if I can pass this around as to what the site currently looks like, is that allowed?
It's, yeah, I mean, you can do that. I mean, I have no problem with it. I think some of us have seen it, though.
You think some of you have all of
Yeah.
you?
That I,
Of right on thing.
Yeah.
And I can personally send better pictures.
Yeah, I've seen
if you
that one.
want to. The timbers that Pat was
Yeah.
discussing.
Yep.
Mr. Attorney.
Yeah, we've seen it.
Everybody's seen it. Okay. It speaks for itself. All right, thank you, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
is there anyone else to have any comments? Seeing no one, may I have a motion to close to public? May,
Second.
I did the first and second. It was Sandy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Move on to mayor's comments.
Yeah, I'll recap last year and what we're going to look forward to this coming year. In 2018, Vernon Township faced a number of challenges, including the largest financial crisis in our history. Under the shadow of the Mountain Creek bankruptcy, we put politics and differences aside with the new council, and were successful on many fronts in our joint efforts to improve our community. We came together as one with the BOE during last winter's storms. The BOE, the Board of Education, opened Glen Meadow Middle School as a warming center. Local restaurants donated food to provide residents who had lost power with hot meals. And some of you volunteered there, and we were all there together. Tenants vacated Legends following our allegations that the former Playboy Club was never approved for long-term rentals, and unsafe living conditions existed there. We were successful in obtaining a redevelopment study for the town center. Phase 2 of the town center water project was completed. Public water is now available on Church Street, Omega, and Theta. We established a soil fill ordinance and that establishes requirements and permitting fees to regulate dumping, including potentially contaminated soil from sites outside and within our borders. The auction of township properties that were not needed for public use was a huge success. MaxPan auctioned off 94 out of 95 properties, including the Failing Building. $459,000 were realized in the short term, but more importantly, these parcels will return to the tax rolls. Great appreciation to our former CFO, Ms. Yetter, for her outstanding leadership during this process. Ms. LaRocca and Mr. Burns from Zoning and our Tax Assessor's Office also contributed greatly to this endeavor. The long-awaited chicken ordinance was passed, and I know there were some problems there, but we got it through. The maintenance ordinance following its defeat in 2015 was also passed. We already spoke about the police department and the need that I feel we need the extra officer and a sergeant. The Arts Committee sponsored the first ever Summer in the Mountains Sidewalk Art Festival at Maple Grange Park. The free event featured music and art show inside the park pavilion. We enjoyed our first snowshoe invasion on Mountain Creek and our first Whoville Christmas and holiday celebration. Residents approved the use of up to 30% of the township's open space fund for the development of trails and other passive recreation amenities. Voters' approval allows for the construction of the trail system's first phase. The hub of the system will be the municipal senior complex and run parallel with our center to Mountain Creek. But it needs to be approved by this council before we go forward, and I hope to have a plan within the next several weeks to present to you. Following 19 months of negotiations, the township and Mountain Creek have reached an agreement that will end Mountain Creek's bankruptcy. It will provide real opportunity for both us and Mountain Creek. The agreement awaits Sussex County and the federal judge's approval. The proposed Highlands Enterprise Zone, or HEZ, is now being drafted. The HEZ program will foster an economic climate that revitalizes designated Highlands communities and stimulate growth by encouraging businesses to develop and create private sector jobs through public and private investment by reducing New Jersey's sales tax in these communities. Registration and maintenance of vacant and abandoned residential properties and vacant and abandoned residential properties in foreclosure, that ordinance was approved. This ordinance generated tens of thousands, I believe it's over $80,000, in unanticipated revenue, and many of these households are now sold. We continue to grow the fund balance. The MUA, due to bankruptcy, was unable to provide the funds to the township for the SCUMA bond payment, but we did it through the guidance of Ms. Bright. Through employee assignments and hiring practices, we have saved the taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars. This administration has saved the property taxpayers $473,000 in personnel costs. Many challenges still confront us that we are addressing. We cannot kick the can down the road. I suggest the following to ensure the township's guaranteed payments to SCUMA, stabilize EDU rates and property taxes without decreasing services, and promote reasonable, sustainable growth. Our first step will continue with the agreement between Mountain Creek and this township. This provides Mountain Creek an opportunity to develop Vernon and Vernon to meet their financial obligations to SCUMA. We will continue pursuing this agreement in bankruptcy court. We need to aggressively pay down the debt. An aggressive pay down plan for our debt must be implemented this year to decrease the financial juggernaut the township will face in 2022. In addition, the SCUMA bond payments will increase from $1 million to $1.5 million in 2023. Bond anticipatory notes, or bands, including SORT ordinances 1122 and 1123, will need to go for bonds in 2022. The debt service will fall on all the property taxpayers of the township. Regardless, that 6.8 of that is from the SOAR development. The township will have to bond for $10 million in 2022 if we do not aggressively pay down this service. Ms. Murphy, in conjunction with a local contractor, proposed a wastewater transfer station over 2 years ago. This matter continues to be explored with due diligence. DEP approval will be required. Annual net revenue is projected at $400,000 plus if we are successful and then we get approvals. As mentioned before, the Highlands Enterprise Zone is being drafted by Senator Orho's office. This will reduce sales tax within Vernon and other designated communities. And in Jefferson and West Milford, their councils also have approved resolutions to go forward. We will continue ongoing studies and plans associated with the redevelopment, looking towards the Legends area, and continue with a plan for the town center. We already spoke about the ordinance about the consultation, so I won't go there anymore. So in conclusion, mismanagement, alleged conflicts of interest in politics slowed down Vernon's growth in the past. This current council and administration continue our efforts to move forward. be transparent, and spend our taxpayer dollars wisely. I have proposed a 5-point plan to stabilize property taxes, EDUs, generate development, and further protect our residents from the truck commercial traffic and the illegal use of drugs. I hope the council realizes that the sewer issue is the single largest issue that threatens the financial welfare of our community. We cannot get bogged down in issues that are dwarfed by sewers and associated debt. With this council support, I am confident we all will meet the challenges that lay before us. Thank you.
Thank you. Council comment. Councilmember Allberger?
Back in '97, the township spent money on a study that was done, and
That with the fire?
the fire study that was done, I'm sorry. I understand why you want to do another one. Until it goes forward, maybe if we can work more with the EMS and the fire chiefs to see where the vehicle situation and what we have to do. If we can get it maybe ironed out with them, maybe we wouldn't have to do the study, but if we have to, we have to. I'm totally for if the paid ambulance service was done between the two squads. That's where it has to be. It can't be the township. But I just think we have to keep moving forward, and if we can do that, and otherwise we have to have somebody that, if we can't come to a conclusion amongst ourselves, then we have to go with the outside service to see what we need to do to improve things. That's all.
No comment.
Councilmember Ohms?
No comment, other than when I was reviewing the bills list, I didn't see the payroll. Usually the payroll is included with that. So I don't know if it was an oversight or if this is...
It may have been an oversight. I would have to
Okay.
double check that. It may not have just been attached, because we did scan it all in, so it may have just gone through. I had it in my packet, so, yeah,
All
I
right,
apologize.
so
But we
we'll be on the
can
next.
upload that.
All right, I just didn't know if that was a change of process or an oversight, so thank you. And that's all I have to say.
Councilmember Kadesh?
On November 28th, as many of you know, I had a concussion out in front. I want to thank everybody who participated in trying to make me more comfortable. Your father put his overcoat over me to keep me warm. But I received casseroles and decorations for my hospital room. And I'll tell you, you don't want to go through a concussion. The vertigo is really hard to deal with. But I thank everybody who participated in trying to make me feel better. On the Thursday of this week, the 17th, Wayne McCabe is coming up to the Historic Preservation Commission to explain the CLG, Certified Local Government standard that historic commissions can attain and why it's important, and he hopes that the mayor and the council can attend that as well. It came into my office too late to have it advertised for a public meeting, but he's coming to address the commissioners, and I'm sure it'll be a very informative program. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind the council members that the Sussex County League of Municipalities is trying to hold nearly monthly meetings. The keynote speaker on January 30th will be Senator Oraho. We've received emails on this, so if you're interested in attending, that may be something that you want to look at to see what he has to say. Also, they will be having, also at the League, on the 21st, regarding the legalization of marijuana. The speaker will be the Center for Prevention. I've also reached out to the Substance Abuse Coordinator from Sussex County, so they will be attending our meeting within the next few meetings. They'll be coming here to also speak about that. And just in case our police department wants to be here. You do not have to, but if you have if there's anyone from the police department interested or has any, maybe wants them to speak of a specific issue, I'll let them know and they can contact you directly. This 5-member council is working together to tackle many issues facing Vernon. And I just wanted to clarify an issue. There's been this debate lately about our agenda. Council president sets the agenda. We're a 5-member board. No one has any more power than the other. I just happen to preside over the meetings. The agenda comes to me. We look at the agenda. At times, we review with administration. There may be items from time to time administration wants on the agenda. It's not up to me to decide that it's good or bad for the town. It's up to the council to decide. Council member may come say, like to see this on the agenda, like to see this guest speaker. That's the prerogative of the council. So there's always this, and it's been several times this debate over what's on the agenda and what's not. We're here, it's open government. We're here to discuss the items in public, not in a back room. No, please leave.
It's in the code. It is
Please.
You approve the agenda.
Just, ma'am, point of order, please stop talking. Public comment has ended, okay?
So anyway, as you can see, regardless of it, we're doing just fine working together as a council. There's checks and balances, and as you can see from our meetings, we try to hold each other accountable to them. Other than that, I'd like a motion to go into executive session. Motion. Our attorney, excuse me.
Oh,
You're
sorry.
going to say something? I was going to ask our attorney if he could. Well, if he could.
Seconding your motion.
Okay, I'll make the motion. Sandy, second it. Should I do all in favor and then read it? All in favor? He'll read it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. You're all in favor, right?
Yeah, I'm in favor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Resolution to go into executive session, whereas the open public...
Wait.
Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-6, permits the exclusion of the public in certain circumstances, and whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Vernon as follows. The public shall be excluded from discussion of and action upon the hereinafter specified subject matter. The general nature of the subject matters to be discussed are personnel. This resolution shall take effect immediately. Please note that there may be further action after executive session.
Okay, you want to make a motion to go back into public?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'd like to make a motion to remove Resolution 1740. 1940, I'm sorry. 1940 from the table.
Motion.
All in favor?
Second, whatever.
Aye.
Aye.
Whatever it was supposed to be. Yes.
Okay. I'd like to have a motion to adopt Resolution 1740, the adoption.
1940.
Second.
Did I say 19? Did I say 17 again? Okay, Resolution 1940, the adoption of the 2019 temporary budget.
Motion.
Motion.
I have a
Second.
first and a second. Roll call?
Councilmember Holmes?
Yes.
Councilmember Kadesh?
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Allberger?
Yes.
Council President Murphy?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt Resolution 1940.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.